How we all are.
We'll
This
start
is
it
how
on
we
that.
do it.
Oh.
Chuck, how are you?
I like the new
So-
haircut, Josh.
Who,
I
me?
am a granny
Yeah,
man.
you do.
It's not a haircut. I got this. I'm trying out this new earpiece here, and I don't have the band around my head from the other one, so it looks like I thought the same thing. I was like, oh wow, I look different. What is it? And then I realized, oh yeah, I don't have cans clamped to the side of my head. So
Yes. You don't have the Cylon look going like I do, or the
Nope.
Cyberman.
Yep. I'm just on earbuds because I'm at the hotel.
Yes. So, my business is burning to the ground. How about yours?
Yep, mine too.
I keep on trying to light mine on fire, and it's working out good to do that.
Yeah, I turned the key on WordPress on Monday and then went to ngConf. There have been a few glitches.
Of course.
I can imagine.
You did exactly what you're never supposed to do. Launch something and then leave.
Yep.
No, the thing you're really supposed to never do is automate the launch of something and then leave.
On a Friday.
While the machine continues to
Yes.
run.
Yep. But yeah, well, I'm fixing them as I find them. So
Yep, that's how it's done. Give it a week, it'll be good.
yeah. My dude in Philippines, he got pretty much all the shows because there was data that he had to enter, and he's flaked out with like 100 episodes of Freelancer show left. So
Oh no.
so I'm like, okay, crap. What do I do? Who do I get to do this? So
Yeah.
oh.
So is he done, or just like I got to take a break done?
I don't know. I keep pinging him. Where are we at? Where are we at? Where are we at?
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to come and ping him soonish and say, never mind.
Yeah. All right, I found somebody else to do the work.
Yeah, pretty much. I listed a job on Upwork a little while ago, and
Yeah.
so I'll probably just go hire somebody and make them do it.
Totally.
Yeah, I pretty much have come to the conclusion that if you ever have to ask someone where they are at on something, you're pretty much going to fire them.
Yeah.
Like, if they're not self-reporting, that's like a really, really bad sign. It's like,
Yep.
Yeah.
so,
Yeah, well, it's a little different on the code because I see the check-ins come in on Slack and stuff, but
oh, okay, yeah.
so
Which-
I have some visibility there, and it works.
Yeah.
And I usually get told anyway. But anyway. So yeah, and then I am postponing React Remote Conf. I am canceling Git Remote Conf, and I am going whole hog on Ruby Remote Conf. So we'll see how that goes. But React Remote Conf, I just couldn't get enough speakers. I for the life of me can't figure out why.
Huh, React is pretty popular right now.
Yeah, that's kind of huge.
Yeah, so I'm going to do it in October, and I think I'm just going to keep looking for speakers. I'm pretty sure I can fit speaker slots. I don't know why I couldn't before then, but I also have figured out that I have reaches into networks like Wrangle.io, who's actually sponsoring the conference. They sponsor JavaScript Jabber. They were like, oh yeah, we know tons of people. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I'll postpone it, and then I'll reach out to them and say, can you have your people submit talks?
Right.
And yeah, I think I'm just gonna. Anyway, Mandy is outsourcing some of the audio editing, so she has more time to chase down stuff too. So I'm hoping that she can also help, with some of the outreach and marketing and stuff like that. So.
Nice.
But it's kind of frustrating. It's like, oh man, what's it gonna take for me to kind of get to the point where I can kind of get what's going on with these things?
Yeah.
And then I've been completely overwhelmed just with, the WordPress switchover, and then, all the stuff with the conferences, and my son got suspended from school again yesterday. And,
Oh, jeez.
Oh man.
and it's just like I don't have the bandwidth to take care of it all.
Yeah.
I don't have the infrastructure in place to take care of it all either yet. and so I'm working frantically on that. I'm going to probably be recording videos all day Monday just on, okay, Mandy, here's how you do this, here's how you do that, here's how you do that. And yeah, that way I can just, if I get new info from sponsors, it's just like, okay, here's the deal. And I've set up Trello boards for all this stuff so that you can kind of follow the progression of things, but it's just been really kind of rough this week. It's been great being at the conference and, seeing people and hanging out with people, but yeah, all this other stuff I've got going on, it was kind of terrible timing.
Yeah.
You seem pretty tired.
You.
Oh, man. Well, I was here till about 11 o'clock last night playing rock with a bunch of folks. So that was fun. And, yeah, I don't know what my deal is, but I've been really tired this week. And I think part of it is all of this, and part of it's, dealing with all the extra crap at home, and part of it's, just the change in my schedule. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been super run down this week. And I don't know if I'm going to have much time to recuperate. I've decided that I need to spend more time with my son, see if that helps his behavioral issues some. And my wife and I are looking into getting him in to see a psychologist so that we can kind of understand what his deal is, because obviously there are things going on there that we're not seeing. So,
What did he get suspended for? Fighting or something?
he has a tendency to have outbursts. He has ADHD, and so on occasion he just freaks out. So last time he got suspended, he freaked out in class. So his teacher tried to calm him down, and eventually wound up just grabbing him and kind of putting her arms around him, trying to contain him, and he was kicking her. And then he ran out of the classroom and ran through the hall, through another class in the gym, screaming his head off. And so, yeah, he got suspended for that. This time, I guess he was having an okay day most of the day, and then for whatever reason, about 10 or 15 minutes before school got out, he freaked out, and then there's some discussion as to whether he deliberately or not actually hit another kid. So, but either way, it's like, well, suspended. So
Yeah.
it just seems like that it just doesn't end, and there's stuff going on all the time.
Yeah.
And there's always something else that I don't have time to get to that needs to be done now. And yeah, I don't know what to do with it, and it's the whole thing's kind of rough.
Yeah, you're sort of like, you've got that whole, like, what's it, quadrant 2 problem?
Yeah, everything's in quadrant 1.
Orbit, yeah, and then you've got to, like, start shifting stuff over so that you can get more into the quadrant 4 place, which is a tough spot. So, yeah, you've got to really basically back off of, definitely don't do anything new, and cut down as much of the current stuff that you can, like, put off or avoid while you build your infrastructure. Yeah, and then once you get your infrastructure in place, then you'll have more time to do the quadrant 4 stuff, and you'll be, because I hit that spot with Simple Programmer 2 for a while, and it was like, because I had so much going on that I didn't have time to actually build the processes and systems in place that were necessary to reduce the workload. That's like, you get caught in that catch-22, and then you start to, so you got to, like, figure out how to not add more stuff and reduce the stuff until you get, and make your highest priority getting your infrastructure in place. Because once you have that in place, then you'll have more bandwidth. And as long as you don't have more bandwidth, there's only so many hours in the day that you can do something with. So. Yeah,
and that's kind of where I'm at with a lot of this stuff is, basically over the next 90 days, I want to get everything automated for the podcast, conferences, sponsorships, all that stuff. And then I think that'll save me a whole lot of time. But in the meantime, it's it's kind of tricky juggling everything, and
yeah.
The other thing is that I'm getting frustrated. We got this guy in the Philippines that he acted like I could count on him, and then he flaked out on me, and that it's like, okay, now what? And part of it I think is the time zone difference. Just from the fact that if I send him a message, it's probably in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking I want somebody in like Mexico or Brazil or U.S. or something that I can pull in and have them do stuff. And at this point, I don't really, as long as they're not like terribly expensive, I really don't care how much they cost as long as I can count on them.
Yeah. If someone flakes on you, they're a flake.
Yep.
That's just how it is. Like, they're never gonna.
Well, I mean, I can understand, like, if they flake out and then they come back and they're like, oh yeah, family member wound up in the hospital or whatever. Didn't have time to deal, and now I'm back a day later and I'm dealing.
Right.
But
Yeah.
he just disappears and then he'll reappear. Okay, got it done, and I'm like, yeah, but it's been 3 days, and I told you needed it done before then, and you told me you could do it.
Yeah. Well, and you need to not. The real problem is, at least for me, is always like I need to not have to think about this.
Exactly.
I don't. It's like the deadline sometimes is a lot of the times is almost irrelevant. It's just I need to not have to think about this again and know that it's going to get done. And you picked a deadline you can do it by, and I want to hear that it's getting done, and I want to hear when it's done.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you should pick the deadline for them, though, is what I've learned too. Is like,
oh yeah,
because most people, even though like you said, Josh, like you don't really care, and like a lot of times I don't care. Right. I'm like, so I'm tempted to say, okay, well, you just tell me when you're going to get it done, and then commit to that. But then I realize that that's like, it's too much. It's too open ended. That's like, you just got to be like, I need it done by Wednesday. Whether you need it done by Wednesday or not, you just say like, I need it done by Wednesday, and then. Yeah. And then you're giving them structure, so it's like, okay,
right,
exactly. There was a really good blog post on the Barometrics blog this week about basically about that, but from the perspective of unlimited vacation, and what they're doing at Barometrics is not unlimited vacation, but minimum amount of vacation every year, where you are required to take 4 weeks of vacation every year with at least one vacation for a week or longer. And they have the numbers posted up for all their team members to see who's taken what vacation to make sure that people are actually going and help keep each other accountable and taking the time off that they need. But the blog post was talking about how the switch-in mentality and perspective was important because it gives people that structure. It gives them the guidelines to work within instead of being this free-form, open-ended, take as much as you want whenever you want, which nobody ever does because they're always like, I can't because things are too busy and too important. Well, this gives people the means to say, I really do have to take some vacation. It's required of me.
Right. Yeah, I'm kind of getting to that point. I actually talked to my wife about doing a founders retreat. I don't know if you guys have heard Rob talk about that, but
yeah,
we had Sherry, his wife, on Freelancer Show last week, and we talked about it. And I actually bought her book about it. And I looked at my wife and I said, I want you to do one, and I want to do one, and then we can compare notes.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be anything profound. It's just without all of the other crap going on, figure out what we want to be doing.
Yeah.
And I think that'll really help me get some clarity on some of this stuff. I think 12 conferences in a year was a little bit ambitious.
Yeah.
But,
nothing wrong with ambition, but I mean, good for you for realizing that you need to pull some of them back.
Yeah, I'm just not sure because I had some people buy some season passes.
Right.
So what I'm thinking about doing there is actually reaching out to them and just saying, look, I'm happy to do some one-on-one, or if you want a partial refund, you can get it.
Right.
And anybody who's bought into like the Get conference that I'm canceling, it's like, you want to take another conference, or do you want this, or do you want that? But yeah, then just get out there and get in front of people and make sure that people know that they're going on.
Yep.
Don't
Another
offer
thing you
them
could
one-on-one, though.
What was that?
Huh? Give them back their money, but don't offer them a one-on-one.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's just going to add to your stress and your plate. Like,
Yep.
just take
That's
that
true.
off the table.
So instead of having one conference to organize, now you're going to have 25 conferences to organize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take you up on it, and then you'll be.
Another angle you could take on that would be to offer them one free conference for next year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy to just let them pick which way they want to go, right?
Yeah,
So it's,
just extend their membership
You wanna-
by 1 month or something.
Yeah.
Or just send them a Darth Vader pic that says, "I'm altering the deal."
Pray I don't alter it further.
Yeah.
That would be perfect.
Oh my gosh.
Oh. Yeah, sorry to kick it off with such a downer, but
It is what it is, man. This is
Kinda
this
where
is
I'm at.
life. Yeah.
I mean, on the upside, so I did a meetup with podcast listeners last night, and I emailed the list and I did a bunch of stuff, and reached out to the local users groups, and what ultimately worked for me this time is they have an app for the conference that you can post messages to. So I posted 3 times to them, hey, if you're coming to the thing, here's where it is, here's when it is, and so yeah, I had 6 people. I paid for their dinners, and it was fun. It was just fun to sit and chat, and
Oh man. Hey John, you didn't pay for us to eat while we listened to your real estate talk.
Yeah, what the crap?
What a ripoff, right?
Jeez.
Yeah, well, he's willing to put that money in the slot machine, but when it comes to investing in people like Josh,
So that slot machine was the investment in Simple Programmer. It just backfired. It failed on this.
John has dropped a lot of money in the Josh slot machine so far, so I can't really complain.
Yeah.
Every now and then, Josh just yells out, "Buffalo!"
Nice. They'll start pouring in.
Exactly.
Yeah. So for most of this though, it's hard to see at the end of the tunnel because it's going to be a lot of work over the next month or 2 to get the automation together for this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And
remember what I think you just need to simplify a little bit because you've got the 2 main things, right? It's your podcast and it's this new thing with the conferences, and they're both related. And so if you cut pretty much everything else out for now, like that you can, and you're gonna have to be a little bit more low touch and not talk to as many people or meet with as many people or maybe go to as many conferences,
right?
Because you got to hunker down and just these are your babies, and then and your big goal really needs to be get this process in place, because once you have this infrastructure, right? I mean, right now you're on this dangerous place where you could crack. You know what I'm saying? But if you get this infrastructure in place, you won't be there anymore, and you won't ever have to be there again. So you've got to make sure that, even if you had to sacrifice the remote conferences and just said, I'm getting the process in place for the podcast, that would be a better than sinking the whole ship. So because once you get this down, you're going to feel so much better, because when you have this stuff off your plate and you got that all taken care of, and you will get there. I know it seems like you feel like you're not, it's never going to happen, but you will get there. And once you do, then
one thing at a time.
Yeah. Well, and I recognize that. This isn't. But sometimes you get so deep in the mud that it feels like you're never going to get out.
Mm-hmm.
And so, even though in my head I know that, there are times where it's just I cannot pull my foot out of the mud another time to keep going.
Just think about when you're working at Formosi, you would have killed to be where you are now.
Oh yeah. No, I would have never dreamed I would be where I am now.
Yeah. And then every day you can do what you can do for that day. Just and there's nothing, you can never add more hours to the day. So
Well, the other thing is that I feel like I haven't been doing as much, or I haven't met my own expectations for the podcasts or for the some of the other things related to that for the conferences, and so that's rough too, because then I'm like, oh, I blew it. Where in reality, it's just like, look, I've been hitting the level I've always been hitting with the shows, but I want to do more. I want to do more promotion. I want to do more. I want to get some products out there. I want to have some of these other things going on. Pluralsight, they're sponsoring here too. They're begging me to do a course for them. It's like, I want to do all these things, but yeah, it's especially with like the podcast and the conferences. It's like there are all these other things that I should be doing that I'm not doing, and I need to just get past that and recognize that I'm only capable of doing so much, and I can increase my capability by building the infrastructure around it so that these things happen.
Yep, you got a bad case of FOMO.
Totally.
Yeah, you got to drop the FOMO. There's like so many opportunities. There's 1,000 things you could be doing. Like the opportunities, you're never like. There's never going to be a point. Like you're at a point now where you're never going to have a scarcity of opportunities. There's always going to be someone that's going to pay you for something. There's always going to be another way to make $1 million. Like it's like you're just. There's going to be in the next 10 years thousands and thousands of opportunities. So you're going to just have to say no a lot right now until you get to that point where you've got like, and then you got to be very selective with the opportunities that you do, so that you know what I'm saying. Like you just got to get past this critical point. Once you do that, once you get that automation in place, then you can pick an opportunity,
right?
And one, right, and then go for that one, and then build onto that. But yeah, I know what you're saying. Like I mean that FOMO is like, I get the same thing. It's like. Because like even like this year, I got invited to like speak at like 5 or 6 conferences all over the world, and I was like, nope, because this like I gotta hunker down. So
totally.
This is a classic example of Seth Godin's The Dip. You're hitting. You were riding that upswing for a long time, and now the work is really settling in, and you're seeing that dip in productivity because of the growth. And this is where you really have to learn to say no, to cut things out of your life, to just push through, to make a plan, but push through the big important things, so that when you come out the other end of that dip, you'll skyrocket again.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of went into a dip a little bit later in the year last year, and then things really came rocketing back out of there in September, and so. I mean, I know all this, but it's kind of, like I said before, it's just kind of hard when you're real tired from slogging through this stuff again. But, I mean, I know that I'll come out of it. Honestly, just talking about it with you guys helps, and then just, realizing that, I'm not crazy, it's not something that that's unique to me, and that, just having the conversation and realizing that, there really is a way out, and that I can get there. That really does help.
So there's a book I've been reading. It's a pretty short book by Alex Harms, and there's a quote that I read this morning. It's the Little Guide to Empathetic Leadership or something like that. There's a quote in there from some Zen master. I can't remember exactly. It may be from like the Zen Mind, Beginner Mind book. But the quote is something to the effect of, take 20 minutes every day to just sit and think and meditate. Yeah. And if you don't have time to do that, take an hour a day.
Yeah.
Hey, Darren, someone wants to say hi to you.
Hey! How's it going?
You know who I am? Sam?
You know Sam?
Oh, I don't recognize you without the hat pulled over your face, man.
I don't know because I got my headphones in. He says he doesn't recognize you without your hat pulled over your face.
I'm just saying hi. Okay, back to filming. Sorry.
What's up, Sam?
It was a good talk, by the way. Sam taught us about where promises come from.
Awesome. From
when an asynchronous process.
From the 7th level.
Loves the callback very much.
Yes.
But yeah, there's definitely a truth to that, like taking that.
Yeah, it's and the whole point of that is to say, in all of this that you're going through, you really need to take care of yourself before you
Yeah.
can take care of anyone else, including your business, including your son, including the problems that you may be having with the person in the Philippines, your processes, everything else. And so if you can just find time to do one thing every day just for 20 minutes that is just relaxing, just de-stressing, just letting go of whatever that dumpster fire is for a moment, and just relax and sit back and think through it with a clear mind for a moment, and then get back to it. You're gonna be far happier at the end of the day because you've taken the time to take care of yourself, which gives you more emotional energy to take care of the other things around you.
Yeah.
If you're a pyro, you might be able to combine the dumpster fire and the relaxation.
Totally.
Love it.
That's probably why I'm doing so well with burning Watch Me Code games around at the moment. I did get when I was I think 15, I had the fire department called on me. So I got lucky because the acting fire chief for the day was a friend of my dad's. So I didn't actually get a fire record or anything like that. Instead, he just went straight to my dad and talked to him, which in some ways was worse, but also better.
Yeah.
Also, I gotta tell you guys about Evolve. So I did the talk without any slides, and it went pretty good. Actually, you know what? It actually showed up on their site finally.
Oh, sweet.
I'll have to let me get a link for it. But
Nope.
the only problem is I don't know what they were thinking. I'll have to talk to them. I need to get the raw video because they basically there's no slides, so they utilize the format of the video as if there were slides.
So there's a tiny little John and then nothing, like a blank screen.
Yeah.
Oh, that stinks.
That's amazing.
So the talk went really well. I thought I did the yell thing and I had everyone yelling, and that went pretty good. The whole room was screaming at the top of their lungs. So and then it went pretty smooth. I felt like it was my best talk really ever. So and then a lot of people came up afterwards and were interested. It was good. Evolve was really good. There's just a ton of people that I didn't realize a ton of people that watch all the YouTube videos and stuff. So it was good.
Very cool.
Yeah. A lot of groupies.
How far did you get through the talk? Did you do the whole thing or?
So I used I had a plan so that the fifth soft skill, which was people skills, that I had stuff to say about it, but I figured I'd probably just be saying, go read How to Win Friends and Influence People, which is what I ended up doing. Is this I could talk about this, but in 2 minutes I've got you. This is everything I could tell you would be something that would be a regurgitation of this book anyway, because this is really the core. All you need to do to develop these skills is read this book. And, So I basically got to that point, and I spent a lot of time on the mental aspect of it instead of I weighted my time there because I felt like that was the most important part. So told some stories, a couple of stories and stuff. So yeah.
Sweet. I'm gonna have to check it out. I want to maybe I'll do an email blast about it soon.
Okay. Yeah, I want to see if I can grab the video from them, the raw video, and put it on our YouTube. I think I can. I just got to talk to the right person.
Okay. Yeah, I'll wait for that then.
Okay.
Just let me know either way whether they give you the thumbs up or thumbs down.
Yeah, but yeah, it was good. It was fun. I was up until the talk. I wasn't sure what I was exactly going to talk about, and I was looking for this overarching theme, because I had the 5 soft skills. I had given a similar talk, but I didn't want to just like, I don't know, like things have changed since like a year, you know. So I feel like things have gotten a little bit deeper, not quite at the surface level of the technical aspect of soft skills. Like it's one level deeper than that. It's like the soft skills of soft skills. It's like meta. So I wanted to go there. So I was like, what is the overarching like theme? You know, what is the big idea that I could get in someone's head? And so, you know, I think like so it has to underlie all of these skills. And basically, it was because I was like, well, why aren't people taking action? And it basically came down to like the whole message came down to this idea like I want to communicate the point that the only way that you grow is by doing things that make you feel uncomfortable. So if you're not, you know, so all these things, like you can learn all these skills, it's fine. But if you're not willing to put yourself out there and make yourself uncomfortable, then you're not going to grow. And so I kind of part of the whole thing was. Because that's what I was doing. Is like I'm doing this talk for the first time without any slides. I'm just talking. So it made me feel uncomfortable. So yeah, but I'm pretty sure now though that I'm doing most talks without slides.
That's interesting. It's funny that you say that because I've been doing Toastmasters for the last year or so. And almost all of the talks are without slides. There are a few projects that you do that actually require you to have visual aids or slides, but most of them aren't. And it's interesting how having that focus on the speaker and having, where you're not distracted by reading whatever they have up there, whatever picture they have up there, or anything like that, how that can actually make the talk more impactful. I think it depends on your topic. I think it depends on, what you're trying to get across. The talks here at NGConf is very appropriate for them to have slides and do live coding. But, if you're trying to inspire people to step up and do something, then, yeah, I can see how, having minimalistic slides or no slides would be a powerful thing.
But if you don't have slides, John, what were people taking pictures of during your talk?
His biceps.
Yeah, he was up there flexing the whole time, doing some posing.
Yeah, I haven't been to any. I haven't been to any conferences until the ones we went to recently, and I was really surprised by the whole let me sit here and take a picture of every freaking slide that you put up there, even if it's like a picture of a Lego man. They're like, gotta capture it.
Yep.
I think at one point I meant to say at the beginning, but I think at one point in the talk I was like, look, don't take notes. Just listen. In fact, you can take notes, but don't write down what I'm saying. You can get that information later. You can watch the video, whatever. Mm-hmm. Instead, if you're going to take notes, write down what you're going to do. If you hear something I say and you're like, oh, that's good, don't write that down. Write down what you are going to do about it. And that's what the notes. So because again, it's like just focus on the thing. You're gonna get more out of it than taking pictures of you can get the video, you can get the whatever.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, I like the way MicroConf approached it, where they had that guy taking notes for us, so that we could focus on the actions and the outcomes that we wanted.
Yep.
But yeah, I felt like it was definitely a strong. You guys have to let me know if you watch the talk. On how you think it went. I definitely would like your opinion, but I felt like it went really well, and a lot of people came and talked about it afterwards and stuff. So it was good. It was interesting too. It's it's weird too. The YouTube because there are so many YouTube viewers. It was a weird experience. Just walking around. All these people coming up to me and I didn't know that the audience was that big in the Xamarin crowd, but a lot of the Xamarin crowd were big fans of the simple programmer stuff. So it's cool. It was cool to hear a lot of success stories too. There's a ton of people that were just oh, I watch all your stuff. I've been following you for 4 years. I got it in shape. I got a better job. I did all this stuff. So that was cool. A lot of people show me their apps and stuff. So
apps or abs?
Abs. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. A lot of people show me their abs.
Yeah.
Shirts going up.
Sign some boobies,
Yeah.
But So yeah, it was good. It was good. It was cool. So
Where was the conference?
It was in Orlando.
Oh, okay.
So I actually drove down to I did a day in the life video. People were asking for that. So I went down to the whole time I lived in Florida, right? I went to Busch Gardens. I never rode any of the rides because I was scared to ride the rides. So I was like, okay, well, I rented a car and I drove from Orlando down to Tampa and went to Busch Gardens.
Nice.
And I rode all the rides, like did all the
Nice.
the drop tower and all the roller coasters that I was like, at one point I was like, I would never ride that ride in my life. And so I did them all, and then I kind of filmed a lot of it, just like a day in the life type of video. I think it just posted. I think Rodrigo just posted it, so that's up there. But that was fun, like just doing that. So. Yeah, in fact, last time I was out, I not this last time, but the time before, the last Friday, I went to Magic Mountain, Six Flags, and I'm addicted now. I've been to like theme parks, like maybe like 20 theme parks in the last year.
You've become an adrenaline junkie, man.
I know.
Wow.
I've up to like a year and a half ago, I had rode like one roller coaster in my life. And now I've ridden probably like 60.
Nice.
So it's fun. I'm looking for the next big challenge.
Totally.
Well, we already talked about it.
Yeah, skydiving.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna do that. Definitely gonna film
Next
that.
microconf, we'll all go.
Yeah, it's just gonna be it's gonna be a video of John's face with wind rushing past him, and just him trying to talk and just hearing.
Yeah, until he loses his phone, right, and he goes.
Yeah, and then the phone will be flipping. Right in his face, you'll see flipping phone flying down to the ground, and eventually, like 10 minutes later, you'll see him walk over to the phone, pick it up, dust it off.
John, we're going to need to revisit our agreement before you do that. Just
exactly. Yeah.
Add an untimely death clause to the.
Yes, I think Josh wants to be in your will at this point.
No, you guys are business partners. You have to jump tandem.
Yeah,
Josh has got to be wondering what he's gotten into, because like right before I went to Evolve, I was like, I just dropped a bomb in the Slack channel. I was like, oh, I finished that video on porn and masturbation. It'll be going out soon. Like, gosh. I was just like, what? That video's got
what I signed up for.
It's got like 2,500 views in like 3 days. So, but no, it's fun. Hey, if anything, Trump has taught us you need to polarize your audience.
No.
That's how it works.
No.
Yeah.
Not the way he does it.
Exactly that way.
He aims for the most base and vile of human emotions and just exploits it to his own benefit. He does not give anything, does not create value, does not provide for his audience. He just enrages people and lets them feed off of the worst of humanity.
Well, he does employ 36,000 people.
Yeah, so? I mean, he runs a business that has nothing to do with his personality and the way he polarizes people.
Yeah, let's don't go there.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I really don't have the energy for this battle.
All right, skip that topic, but yeah. So anyway, it's been fun. It's been definitely going more on YouTube, and YouTube's been growing. Like I think it's like 24,000 subscribers now.
Oh, nice.
Is it still has it still kind of leveled off at the 2,500 a month, or has that grown at all?
Yeah, it's sort of. I think it's about. Let me look at the analytics.
Well, the way you're shooting your subscribers in the head and asking them to leave, I mean, it's
yeah.
24, about 2,500. Oh, what? This is 28 days. So like 2,600 a month.
Yeah, the organic growth is.
Yeah, it's growing. Had the biggest subscriber loss on May 3rd. 42 unsubscribes in one day. So that's.
What did you do then?
That was
the
when
video.
That video came out.
Yeah.
So, but that's good. Like it's that's what we want, really. Like and it's shown. I mean, you can see the proof is in the pudding. Like the last video I released, I did this video on because people were complaining about the one video. So I did this message to haters, and it got 774 views. Like it published yesterday, 142 upvotes, 61 comments.
Wow.
And,
wow.
Like tons of people coming and commenting and being like, screw them, like keep doing the videos.
Yeah.
So that's that's what I'm looking for. It's like you want that, right? Because that's better than numbers.
But you want that from the right people. You don't just want that. You don't want to be the guy that riles up the white supremacists to your side. You want to be the guy that gets people really truly polarized for the way that you run business.
That's funny.
And for the way that you create value for the people that are interested in the way that you run business. You want the people that want your knowledge and experience and understanding of how you create the empire you've created without destroying the legitimacy of your business by just trying to get comments and likes.
Well, yeah, and you're absolutely right. Well, so I mean, the whole kind of theme really since January, especially with YouTube, has been just being as authentic and unfiltered as possible, right? So if I'm being as authentic and unfiltered as possible and I'm aligning people, and it is going to polarize people, then those people that are polarizing with me are the people who genuinely like my viewpoint and what I'm saying, not any kind of manufactured thing, right? So there's no, it's effortless because I don't have to think. I'm not thinking about PR at all. I'm just thinking about how can I deliver the most unfiltered down message of what I'm about and what I'm trying to deliver as possible.
That's a dangerous path, though, because when you start talking about being unfiltered, you can very easily slip off the path of your true message and just start heading down the path of being offensive because you're being unfiltered.
Well, I mean, if that's what you're trying to do, if your goal is that, my goal is simply
you're going to be filtered. You're going to filter yourself. There will always be things that you will just never let yourself say, even if the thought pops into your head momentarily. So it's not about being unfiltered. It's about removing the unnecessary.
I think you're throwing down the gauntlet for John.
I probably am.
Don't tell me I'm not.
I want to challenge you not to be unfiltered, but to remove the inappropriate filters, the filters that would prevent you from saying something that you believe because you know you're going to get unsubscribes. Don't just go out there and be rude and offensive. Go out there with the message that will truly have an impact on people's lives, and don't hold back from that message.
Right. I think we're pretty much saying the same thing because that's where, like, it's not like I'm going out there and being crass and rude and offensive for the purpose of being
Except for that
passive.
time that you went out there and told that one guy to fuck off because he had a different opinion about the way you were presenting. That meanest comment I've ever left on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
I mean that was entirely a lost opportunity to do exactly what I just said. You took the cheap, easy way out of being crass and offensive instead of taking the opportunity to really push your message and hit home the point of what you were trying to say.
Well, I don't know. I felt like he needed a kick in the nads because.
Well, he absolutely did. But getting a kick in the nuts is not the same thing as you telling him to go fuck off because you don't like his opinion of you. He needed a kick in the nuts in order to get him down the right path. He didn't need somebody being crass and offensive proving his point.
No. Yeah, there's certain people that you're gonna give them a push in a direction. He was hopeless from the beginning, so his kick in the nads was not for his benefit. It was to make an example out of him.
And that's an approach that I disagree with. I don't think we need to be making examples out of people. If you're going to make an example out of someone, you make an example out of yourself. Otherwise, you just head down the path of I'm going to be divisive and polarizing because I'm going to be attacking the other people instead of creating the room for the people that you want around you. You are excluding the people that you don't want around you. Don't fight against something. Don't push away. Fight for something. It's a significantly more difficult thing to do, but it's far more effective in the long term.
Well, you got to have an enemy too, and so like the enemy of simple programmer is simply this. Like every time that you'll see me, like even the video that I just did, like the only thing that will really tick me off and it will cause me to like attack you is if you're disparaging people, like saying that they can't do something, saying that they have to be qualified, saying that there's, putting the bar, like putting the constraints, the harness on people. So that's where that guy, like that's where I went off on him, was because basically he was saying that he was like, people are disabled or disadvantaged, they can't do this, they shouldn't aim that high, they should aim a little bit lower, right? I'm like, no, fuck you. Like that's I'm not gonna even tolerate any of that. Like if you say that on my channel, you're gonna get blasted to hell. Like, because that's the one thing. Like anything else, like disagree, totally fine. But if you like have any piece of a message that someone can't do something for some reason, you're just gonna get the whole entire scorching hellfire like in your face. And that because I want those people to be so gun shy and so get out of here, because I don't want anyone to even get that message at all from because that's the complete antithesis, and that's our enemy. That's our enemy is the establishment, is the system of people that tell you that you can't achieve. And I feel like you in order to have a cause, you have to have an enemy. And I mean, you got to have it has to be primarily what you're fighting for, right? But you also have to have this enemy so that you've got something to rally the troops against, to say, this is what we're killing. This is what we're stabbing with our spears. And that's my enemy.
I agree with that 100%. But what happens when that enemy is gone? Well, suddenly you have to find a new enemy. Instead of looking for what you are fighting against, look for what you are fighting for. Define what you are fighting for and defend that and attack anything against that, but always from the spirit of fighting for that one thing. In the case of this one comment, I think you really did miss an opportunity to show the person exactly what you just said, that there is always opportunity for somebody to push through and to work harder and to find a way through these difficulties and whatever the problems that they are having. And instead of showing the person that their mentality was wrong, all you really did was offend them and kick them out the door. You could have turned that into an opportunity for growth and learning on their part by saying, look, you're right, you have these things that I don't face. But so what? Fight harder, push harder, get people on your side, and figure out how to push past that. Otherwise, get the fuck out. Instead, you just went straight to get the fuck out because I don't believe you.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, I gave him a chance, but it was hopeless from the beginning with that. Like, if I feel like
the mentality of hopeless from the beginning is exactly the mentality that you just said you're fighting against.
No, I'm not saying he can't do it if he's willing. But I'm saying it's all within your own, willingness of. And if someone's not willing, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I see enough comments. I see enough people. I work with enough people that I mean, sure, I'm fallible, but I make a judgment call on like, can this person actually be helped? You save the ones you can, and the rest of them you wish them luck. Like you can't help everyone. If someone's not at the point where they're ready and they're just going to present a combative message, then I'm gonna if I detect that, I'm gonna hit them hard, because I'm gonna show them that we're gonna fight. We're not just gonna be like neutral on these things. I mean, again, but this is my style, and this is how I'm handling. Like, I see your point. Like, and there's plenty of times where I've done exactly what you're saying, and I've come, and there's been times where people have come around and said, hey, I mean, I was totally in disagreement, but you proved you've sort of, I'm reconsidering what you're saying. Like, but I didn't feel like that was going to happen in this case.
Yeah, and it may not. I mean,
Yeah.
you're right in that there will always be the people that are they just want to rage against you, and they don't really care about your actual message. They want to pick apart you and the way you present things. And sometimes there's valid points in there. I've turned some of those situations into people that ended up advocating for me instead of against me. But it's tremendously difficult to do that in a lot of scenarios, and there definitely will be the haters that you kick them out. You don't let them hang around because they're not worth your time. I personally think in the case of that one comment that you could have taken one step further, but you're clearly dealing with this a lot more than I am in that context, and you're going to make the call based upon your needs, not based upon some idiot sitting in Texas yelling at you over Google Hangouts.
Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, it might even just depend on like how how can I be the most authentic that day, like on how I'm responding. Like I just want to make sure that there's no fakeness in what I'm doing. You know what I mean? So, and then like I said, for most of the stuff, like I don't care. Like most haters, I just ignore. I don't even you don't even reply to a comment. Sometimes I'll delete their comment. But like, if you want to rile me up, the one thing, like I said, is just like if you're discouraging other people, because the whole message of Simple Programmer is you can do it. Yeah. Like anyone can do it. Like the sky's the limit. Like aim high. Like go for it. Like you got to work hard. It's not going to come easy. But like you can do it. Like you can do way beyond. Like it's empowering people. Yeah. That's the whole message. Like that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. Like if I can't empower people, then screw it. I'm not going to do this. So like if I detect that that cynicism of no you can't, or there's something I don't know, to me that's where I've drawn the line and saying that's my enemy, and that I will fight to the death, and I will get in your face about. But the rest of the stuff I don't care. It's funny, even the video that I just did, like where I reacted to the people that had commented on that, like so many people were so concerned, like I'm so upset by these haters, and I'm not. It's not that I'm upset. It's that I want to like rally the truth. It's not like I'm personally like, oh man, I'm gonna stop doing videos because this one person on the internet doesn't like me.
It's like I saw a tweet and like this morning or yesterday or something, so to the effect of 11,000 people have signed up for my mailing list in the last month, but one person complained about the pop-up, so we better get rid of it.
Yeah.
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 So John, I think so. Actually, I just looked at that thread again. I had when you sent that, somehow I saw one of the later comments, I think, and like there was another one where you were talking about the armless legless man, and that was the one that I saw. I didn't actually see the one that we're talking about.
Oh, the original. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think my only thing is about this is I think it was a missed opportunity. This was a video.
Yeah.
Not
the response should have been a video.
Don't engage the don't feed the trolls in the comments. Do like when you feel the need to talk back, because you've got a megaphone like that. There's a few people saw that, but so many more people would have seen it if you'd done a video like you did with the haters one. And like I think just bringing that, dragging those guys into the limelight. They really don't want to be in the limelight. So, every time that happens, take the opportunity. It's a golden opportunity. People are going to eat it up.
Right.
Drag them out of the shadows and deal with them with your megaphone, and don't engage. It's like when you're engaging them at their level when you dive down into the comments, because they can talk back.
Right? That's true. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
But it also gives you the opportunity to be far more nuanced. Even if you're just raging at them via video, the chances are you're going to have that moment of rage, and then you're going to step back, and then have that moment, and then step back. And every time you step back, you introduce nuance and opportunity for people to really identify with it without just seeing the crass response.
Although I will say this though, not to like I agree with what you guys are saying, but if you do look in that thread, you will see at least 2 people that commented
Yeah.
on that thread that said subscribed.
Yep.
So if 2 people commented on the thread and said subscribed, how many people subscribed that didn't comment?
Right.
Right.
So I did win. You know, like, so again, it's not like I did this for this guy's benefit, because I'm not changing his mind. But I really wanted to draw the line in the sand to say, look, I will absolutely not tolerate this, and this is our enemy, and this is what I'm about.
Right.
So, you know, I'm not trying to justify everything that I did. Maybe I could have handled it better, but
Yeah, you don't need to
I did
justify
achieve,
it either.
Yeah, I did get you know, a decent result.
Yeah.
But again, it's not about. I wasn't trying to get a result. I was trying to, like, this was just like an authentic reply. It's like, look, this is our enemy, and we're, you know, you represent everything that is horrible and evil in the world, and you must be burned with fire.
And I would just to reiterate, I would focus, look for the opportunity to define what you're fighting for, not what you're fighting against. Because what you're fighting against will constantly change. And if you continue fighting against something that is no longer a threat, then you start to look irrelevant. But if you have something that you're fighting for, you will always be relevant.
Yeah, but do you really think that they'll ever be, like, we'll ever win this battle? You know what I mean? Like, there'll always be this threat. This will always be the enemy that we're fighting against.
But if you only define the group as what you're fighting against, the policy as what you're fighting against, then as soon as people come into that camp of fighting against that,
Yeah, you have to be.
They have the opportunity to actually turn around and look at what you're doing and see that they don't agree with what you're really doing. They were only there to fight against something. If you're fighting for something, you will polarize those people even further. You will take that group that was fighting against the thing you were fighting against, and you will polarize them further and get them further into the simple programmer camp of fighting for that thing that you really care about, fighting for the empowerment of people. Fight for that, and yeah, sometimes fighting for the empowerment of people is going to mean you tell somebody to fuck off and you kick them out of the camp. But if you're fighting for that empowerment, you'll take the next step into the circle and divide people even further and just make them even more fans because they believe in what you're fighting for. They're not just there to fight against something with you for a few minutes.
Well, so I think you kind of have to have both. And
fighting for something means you will be fighting against something at all times. But if you define what you're fighting against by what you're fighting for, it becomes more opportunity for people to really believe in what you're doing instead of just fighting against something.
As long as you have a big enough enemy, right? You do have to have that, because take world politics, take Islam, right? For, you know, take the whole jihadists, like they could, like, in their, you know, they have a thing that they're fighting for. But that's really taking the background in what they're fighting against. They're like, you know, I mean, what they're fighting against is the primary, like, that's the thing that is fueling that. It's because they have this enemy, right? And without that enemy, it would be whatever. You don't even know what their cause is, right? But you know what they're against. You don't know exactly what they're for. Right, so
there's a lot to unpack there.
Let's avoid the religious implications of that discussion. But the
real thing that I think Derek's trying to say, and I think is also your misunderstanding with that particular example, is that they are fighting for something. They have this vision that's been given to them by what they believe in, and they're fighting for that. And, you know, part of that vision is the destruction of certain other elements in the world. But they're fighting for that paradise to come, that new world. And I think the difference between what you're talking about and what Derek's talking about is that you can definitely get people to fight against things, but if you can give them that shared vision, if you can give them that idea or ideal that they're trying to achieve, then it doesn't is, and when you conquer one, you move on to the next obstacle until you get to the point where, you know, you either achieve what you've been working for, or at least you get, you know, close enough to where you can move on to other things that are now more pressing.
Yeah.
It's kind of the difference of, okay, today we're fighting against tomatoes because I freaking hate tomatoes. And you get this giant rally of people fighting against tomatoes and going out and stomping all over tomatoes. And then tomorrow the rally cry is we're fighting against apples. I hate apples. They're just these crunchy, awful things. And half of your team from yesterday looks at you and says, "Are you crazy? I love apples." So you're fighting against things, and you're gonna find people not wanting to fight against the same thing you want to fight against all the time. But if you give them the vision of what you're fighting for, I love bacon. We're fighting for bacon because I love bacon.
I'm going with that. I'm going to go with that.
Now everybody's going to stand in the camp of I love bacon. Let's fight for bacon. Those evil tomatoes, let's stomp on them. Those evil apples, let's cut down the apple trees. They're all going to join you in that cause of fighting for bacon, and you happen to be doing it by fighting against tomatoes today and apples tomorrow. But it's always for bacon.
I'm putting out lunch here because I can smell bacon.
I don't know. I think I'm still gonna have to disagree a little bit because again, just looking historically, right? Let's take the hippie movement, right? It's about free love, man, and drugs and sex and everything, and share the love. But what it's really about is screw the Vietnamese War, right? War is that was the catalyst. That movement would not exist without the Vietnamese War. Without the war in Vietnam, we would not have had the hippie movement.
Yeah.
So it's I mean,
but they were fighting for make love, not war. That was their rally cry. They were not just say we're fighting against this war. They were saying we're fighting for love and peace and harmony, and it manifests itself as fighting against this war.
Yeah. I mean, it's the natural enemy to the enemy is embodied in and that's where the people rally around is that common enemy, because it's you got to have both elements. You got to have the core.
Oh yeah, totally.
Of your message, but then you have to have some. If you don't have some kind of obstacle or enemy or some kind of us versus them. All religions have an us versus them. It's not all major movements have an us versus them. Right. So you got to have the them.
You can have far more them when you define what us is, instead of just defining what them is.
Exactly. Yeah. You got to have both. You can't have one or the other. But the them, if it's not there, it's you don't have to.
Well, and one other thing that I've been seeing a lot with this, because you guys know I've been dealing with some of the diversity in tech issues that have made me a little uncomfortable, and I don't always agree with some of the activist stances that are taken. And I realized at one point that I'm not like I used to. I'm like, okay, well, this thing just blows up in my face and it all goes away. But I've realized that there are a lot more people who are interested in the podcast continuing than there are people who are really so invested in these issues that me having a minor disagreement on some point of the overall argument are going to step out. And I think this kind of goes back to the beginning of this discussion where you have people that are going to come out and they're going to disagree. They're going to disagree loudly. They're going to make a whole bunch of noise.
Yeah.
And ultimately, even if it's a little bit embarrassing and there's this big uproar about it, when the smoke all clears, there's still going to be a whole bunch of people who still care about what you're doing and where you're at. And so, part of this is, do I fight this battle, or is it not part of my core message, which I think is where Derek's headed.
Right.
And then the other part of it is, can I represent who I am without touching on this, which is, I think, some of where John's coming from. And balancing that out is really tricky because, there are some of these issues that I really feel like I do want to address. But at the same time, it's like, look, my core message is very similar to what John said in the sense of, you can do this, you can take steps to make your life better, you can take steps to make your career better. And so it's like, okay, so do I wade into some of these other issues or not? And yeah, and generally I haven't, even though in a lot of ways, I feel like in some ways I ought to do what John did, in the sense that, I should go out and say, look, I support diversity in tech, but I really get upset when people come out and present that as it's inherently unfair, and it gets into somebody's head to the point where they don't try. So it's tricky, because the other thing is it's all so loaded, right? I mean, everybody gets beat up over this one way or another, and so we all have battle scars on both sides, and it's like, okay, well, do I even want to deal with this because it's so exhausting to think about? Yeah, they're just it's kind of tough. And I kind of agree with both of you.
Yeah. And at some point it comes down to, you're going to offend someone, choose wisely and explicitly who you're willing to offend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I mean, but then, like, I don't know. But then again, like, I'm operating with a little different mindset now, which is like, screw it, I'm doing what I want to do.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, and that's what people are drawn to. Like, that's like when I mean, not just like being cold and calculating, but when you look at it and you're like, oh, well, what are the most popular videos and what is the most growth that I've seen? It's when I've said, you know what, screw it. Like, you like it, you don't like it, doesn't matter. I got no agenda here except to just what I think is valuable, I'm going to tell you, and like, that's it. And you know what I mean? Not purposely coming out and being brass and abrasive on purpose to just piss people off, because that's not the goal. The goal is like, this is valuable. This is what I think. I don't care. Maybe everyone says thumbs down, suck, you suck. I'm subscribing, fine, that's fine. But at least, and the thing with that, like I was just discussing this with someone, and I was like, look, here's the thing. It's like when you polarize like that. Okay, well, first of all, the worst thing that you could have is like a huge following of indifferent people, because if once someone thinks you're boring and they're indifferent to you, you're dead. They will never hear you again. You're muted. Like, they've just hit the mute in Gmail. You're done. But if someone hates you, they may actually love you at some point. Like you that can flip. That can flip. Like, someone could actually, or they may stick around to watch the spectacle of the thing, or they may spread them. They might be like on Facebook, like, look at this friggin' idiot. This guy is such a dick, right? And then their friends that think that they're a pretentious asshole, they're gonna look at that post and they're gonna say, I'm going to watch that thing because you're a pretentious ass. I like what he's saying, right? Because they're just going to, so they're just spreading your message and they don't even know it, right? Because, because if they don't like it, then, so it's kind of like, you're getting the people that love you, and then the people that like your message, they're like, man, this guy doesn't hold anything back. He's like totally like nailing it. Like, he's not afraid of anything. And so they're spreading the message, and they're super fans. So you've got the polarized, so it's working on both sides, because your enemies are spreading your message. The people that love you are spreading your message. And you can actually even win your enemies back over, whereas if you're just like neutral, you're just like, and I flipped on this, because before I think a lot of us like, don't rock the boat, don't do, just like, but it's so much better that way. And then also the icing on the cake, I mean, really the core of it is you're being authentic. Like, every time you're saying something, you're doing something, it's coming from exactly where you are, and you don't really care who you offend or what people think, and that carries. You can always carry way more weight with that message when you're speaking from there, because it's an authentic message, and people can, like, we are built-in bullshit detectors. Like, we know when someone's being authentic or not. Like, every person has that innate ability, and so your message carries a lot further, and it's a lot more powerful. So.
Yep.
All right, now that we beat that topic to death.
I think we brought it back a couple times and beat it again.
I think so. I've got a shovel full of dirt and a gravesite behind me. So.
Yeah. But at the same time, it is interesting to think about.
It is. So. But it's actually, I think this conversation has been important. It's something that we've touched on a number of times in the past, and having this more explicit conversation is important, because it does illustrate the perspective from which we are all driving. We're all standing, I think, in the same place. We just happen to be looking at it from our own perspectives and experience and goals. But we're all starting with that perspective of you got to be out there pushing your message and pushing it hard and willing to make some enemies along the way, because you're going to. If you have a strong message that is truly meaningful to someone, it's going to alienate other people, and that's okay, because it creates the super fans, because it creates the people that will literally just throw money at you as soon as you say hi to them.
Right.
So you have to create that in your business to really skyrocket your success. And I've been working toward that myself in the last year or so, and I've been pushing down those lines, not nearly as far as where you've gone, John, but I've seen great success with that, and I'm pushing further and further down that line with the way that I present code and the way that I present my opinions on YouTube at this point. I've started that whole Thoughts on Code series, and I've got people disagreeing with me and people saying I think you're wrong, and you know what? Okay, that's great. You think I'm wrong, but you still watched my video.
People saying your crochet sucks.
Exactly. I hate your freaking BB-8. Jeez, that guy sucks.
But yeah,
we're so on to BB9 now.
Exactly. At the end of the day, like, you are proud of what you've done, because it's actually you. It's not some bullshit that you made up. I mean, and you look at this, like Entreprogrammers, like all the people that we've got a lot of listeners to this, and it's mainly because, like, when we're here, like, people know, like, I mean, there's a lot of places you can go for entrepreneurial type of advice, and you won't get as much bullshit, or much banter as we have here. Mm-hmm. But there's very few places, I don't know of any place you can go where you're going to get as candid and honest type of, I mean, I'm sure there's some, but that's the primary draw of, like, why someone would sit and listen to this for 2 hours of us talking, is because we're not bullshitting at all. Like, it's just like everything is laid out, and we're telling the truth. I mean, in fact, that's not, we've invited people and they can't do it, so we're it's like, so that's the thing, that's the draw. So
I mean, it's like the feedback I gave to Rob about MicroConf this year was, I loved all the sessions, but by far my favorite session was that one woman who talked about her failures. I want more of that out of MicroConf and other entrepreneurial efforts, and that's what I love about what we do here, is we're talking about our failures, because that mountain of success that people see is really a pile of failure that we happen to be standing on top of.
I'm going to go cry now.
Exactly.
You guys pumped me up the first hour and then let me down the second.
Chuck, it's all a pile of fail. Just give
it is. Every last piece of success that we have is built upon a giant pile of failure. And that pile of failure is called experience. And that experience is not going to be gained by always succeeding. If you're always succeeding, you're not doing anything new. If you're never doing anything new, you're never learning. If you're never learning, you're not going to grow. You're not going to end up on top of that mountain. You're just going to stand on that one tiny little hill that you happen to be successful at once.
Yeah. So it's interesting you say it. Like, the lens I've been filtering everything through lately is this idea of, like, the only reason why I'm doing anything is for growth. Like, if that's, like, your lens, if you're like, okay, because, like, when I was doing that talk at Xamarin 2, I was like, oh man, I hadn't been nervous for talking in a long time. I was like, okay, but I'm growing. Like, if I totally screw this up, Josh and I had this conversation. He's like, what if that bombs? And I was like, well, then I'm going to use that as an example. But, like, there's no way if your focus is on growth, there's no way you can lose, because it was like, if the talk goes great and then I've grown, then I know, like, I'm at this level, and if it bombs, or, like, the yelling part, no one wants to participate or whatever, then I've still grown. because I put myself out there. I got to experience what it's like to have a whole like room of people like think you're a friggin' idiot, right? And that's a growth experience. That will make you grow. Like you'll become better from that, or you'll learn from that. So there's like no fail if there's growth, because regardless, but that has to be your focus. You can have the same events happen to you, and it could be a negative experience where you don't grow because that's not your mindset. But if your mindset is always like, okay, I'm entering the situation, I'm going to go talk to this person, I'm going to go do this thing, and the primary thing I'm looking to get from this is growth. Trying to grow. And then you can't fail, because you will absolutely grow if you have that mindset.
Yep. Mm-hmm. I'm burning Watch Me Code to the ground right now with that mindset.
Right, and you're going to grow. I mean, no one knows if that's going to be successful, right?
Right.
We don't know. We think so. This is our best educated guess. You've got at least like 3 people that are backing you up and saying this makes sense.
Yeah.
But if it burns and it fails, you'll have grown from it, from just the guts of taking that step, like of having the balls to say, okay, I've got something that's working, that's making me money now, and I'm risking it all to go for the next thing. Like having gone through that is a growth, and then if it fails, that's a growth of learning, and if it succeeds, it's a growth. So it's like you know what I mean? You can't really lose in the grand scheme of things. So.
No, totally, and looking back on where I was even a year ago compared to what I'm doing now, I can see that growth in myself already. I can see the experience and see the knowledge. Earlier this week, I think it was Monday, I sat down and I looked at the giant mountain of work in front of me that I know I have to do, and I started to get that panic, and I was actively writing an email to our list saying, holy crap, there's 5,000 things in front of me, here's everything I need to do. What do I focus on? How do I know what I'm supposed to be working on? And as I started writing down the list of things that I needed to do, it just suddenly dawned on me, oh, you know what, I don't need to write this email. I know exactly what I need to do.
Yeah.
Because in all of the previous conversations that we've had, in all of the books, the 80-20, everything that we've talked about in the past, all of the things that I've done suddenly gelled into this understanding of I need to fix my funnel. Well, what is my funnel?
Yeah.
Okay, well, here's my funnel. My funnel is get people into the blog posts. Well, I got that down. Get people onto my mailing list. Yeah, Thrive Leads is handling that. Get people into the Watch Me Code slow drip of free content at first. Okay, let me do that. Okay, now that they've got that slow drip of content for free, get them into the hard pitch. Okay, so here's my hard pitch. Well, now that they've gone through the hard pitch, I need to offer that last-minute discount for the people that didn't sign up yet. Okay, well, let me get that done. Well, if I'm going to have people looking at my website, the Watch Me Code website, having gone through the email funnel, I need a consistent message on the website. Okay, let me go rephrase things on the website so that the message is consistent. Well, now that the message is consistent, the experience and what they see in terms of pricing options needs to be consistent as well. Okay, let me adjust the way this looks. And when I focused in on the funnel, top to bottom, they start here, this is the next step, this is the next step, this is the next step. It was painfully obvious what I needed to be working on when, and I didn't need to have that conversation anymore because I've gone through that experience of flailing about and trying to get things in order in a million different ways and not having any clue and seeing it fail. And I've learned how to focus. I've learned how to drive forward from that perspective of this is the funnel. This is the one funnel that I'm working on right now, and that funnel needs to be consistent, top to bottom, needs to flow. So let's get that funnel working. And I think at the end of this week, I've got a pretty darn good funnel. I know it's going to need a lot of work, a lot of tweaking. I've gone back and reworked several pieces of it as I've gone throughout the week in order to make it more consistent. But I have a complete funnel at this point. I didn't need to panic. I didn't need to run back to our mailing list and have you guys tell me what I needed to work on, because I've had that experience of failure in the past that has shown me how to focus and how to get into the mindset of what I need to work on. So getting out there and doing that, me taking this leap seems like this gigantic leap forward, but when I sat down and started doing the work, it was like, oh, well, this is actually just a couple of small steps from the perspective of the work and the things that I'm changing. Okay, the price jump is huge, and that's scary, but the actual work, the actual things involved in getting this done and really making it happen, these are just extensions of the things that I've already done, and I'm only really taking a few steps forward.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a pretty crazy week for me because of all that. I mean, I really am watching most of my previous effort on marketing and getting customers and everything just burn to the ground. I mean, I've set fire to 90% of my marketing effort in the last month, and I've watched it burn away so that I could get Watch Me Code back to the core of what it should really be, and then build upon that core to create something more meaningful than what I previously had. And I believe personally that I am doing the right thing still. It's just whether or not I can get that core, get that value expressed to other people in a consistent and effective manner. That's the challenge that I face now. It's not the rest of what I need to be doing anymore. The technical side, the content side, I've got that down. It's the marketing and the value and getting that expressed appropriately. That's my next big challenge, and this is really forcing me to face that challenge head on, and it scares the crap out of me. But I know that by forcing myself to go through this, that I'm going to come out significantly further ahead in 6 months than I was 6 months ago.
You're like Tiger Woods rebuilding his golf swing from the ground up. You know, it's like
you've got this great thing that's done so well for you for the last few years. Nope, I'm burning it to the ground so that I can rebuild it again, because I know that I have to fix these little nuances that no one else sees in order to really go further.
Yep. It's not what the gasoline we gave you was for, though.
Well, yeah. I'm just
in the engine, Derek. In the engine, not
not on the pile of money sitting behind me.
Yeah, but at the same time, I mean, you know, it's kind of dual purpose, and in this case, you know, it may result in both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if I can make this work, if I can truly set Watch Me Code apart, not as being in competition with Pluralsight and Egghead.io. That's the thing that I'm fighting against right now. Is I keep getting commentary from people talking about, oh, well, Pluralsight is only charging, Egghead is only charging, Laracast is only charging. Well, okay, they are not my competition. They happen to have products that are similar to mine, but I have to position my competition not against them, but against YouTube and against these nebulous, difficult things to sift through where people struggle to find what they need. And I have to position myself as, look, you can go find all this content on YouTube, and I do that all the time, but it takes hours to find that one piece of information that you need. Or you can come here, get the videos you need, get the community support that you need, get the ebooks to go along with it, get everything you need all in one place. Yeah. So it's about positioning. It's about finding your true competition. Like I have a friend here in town who does WordPress development, and she's got all kinds of great clients that pay her really, really well. There's a ton of WordPress developers in town that charge less than half of what she charges.
Right.
And she talks about how her competition is not the other WordPress developers. She's not in competition with them. She is in competition with Wix.com and you know the Squarespace.com, the other do-it-yourself websites. Yeah. Kind of websites out there where you could go do it yourself and pay a few dollars a month, or you could pay her $5 or $10 grand a month and she will do it 1,000 times better. That's her competition.
Right.
So finding who your competition really is gives you that the who you're fighting against, the conversation that we had earlier. But until you, at least for me, until I define what I am fighting for, I don't really know who my competition is to fight against the people that want to go there.
Right. Makes sense. I've got to duck out, guys. I've got to go get ready for this live session. So.
Right.
All right, Chuck. See ya.
Chuck.
See you next week.
Yep.
All right.
Hang in there.
Yeah. Take care of yourself first, man.
Will do.
All right.
Bye.
So I want to get to this conversation that Josh hinted about in our email list earlier, because this is exciting to me on all kinds of fronts.
Yeah, so I've had an interesting couple of weeks. So I basically, it clicked for me about 2 weeks ago that the thing that I can grab onto that no one else has really claimed when it comes to the email marketing stuff is email courses. There's nobody out there doing, like, there's a couple of good blog posts about it, but there's really nobody out there that is talking about. There's people talking about email copy. There's people talking about kind of like vaguely about autoresponders, but there's nobody specifically talking about how do you do educational courses that actually sell stuff.
Yeah.
So that is going to be my niche. I'm going to go on the Freelancer show this month and talk to those guys about it. So I'm going to do a few podcasts. I'm looking to try to get like a few podcasts and a few guest posts out there to just sort of like kind of stake my claim to this territory.
Yeah.
So I wrote an email course about email courses. It's 10 days. It has been so far. It's been pretty well received. I got when the first email dropped, I was pretty nervous about it because I haven't really talked much about it. I've been kind of just on my list. I've been talking about just general marketing stuff. But when that first email dropped, I got I think I got about 10 replies, which is almost almost 1% of my active readers responded and said, "Please tell us more about this." And it was really enthusiastic response. And it was the first email was really just me talking about the problem I had with Sublime, where I would do a product launch and then I'd get a bunch of income and then nothing, and then I'd do another product launch and then I'd get a bunch of income and then nothing. And that's a really common problem. And the thing I like about the email courses that we've done with Simple Programmer is it turns if you do it right, it turns your one-time sales into like a revenue stream, like a subscription. So it's not just one-time only purchases. It ends up being it's like a recurring revenue machine. And that is people are really hungry for that. So
yeah, like me.
Yeah. so it's I've been talking to people about it and I've been getting some good today. So my email today, I told a story about playing chess with my grandpa and how he was always thinking 10 moves ahead, and how most people with chess and with email they are only thinking about the next move. And I got a response from this guy. He said, "Josh, please tell me you're selling a course on creating an email course. Your emails is so addictive that I've actually been waiting for your emails to hit my inbox. I so badly want to do this thing with my emails." Sigh.
Nice.
So,
nice. Yeah.
Perfect.
So this is I'm very excited about this direction. It seems like people are responding really well.
Yeah.
I've got another interview that a guy's guest who just takes my emails and publishes them on his blog from time to time. Guest posts because he's a big fan. And he's interviewed me before, and he wants to interview me again about this. So
nice.
I've been getting a lot of good uptake from it. So I'd like to do what I was thinking was that I wanted to do a course about this, and I've been spending some time writing about it, and I'm realizing that I feel like I'm still too I feel like I need to be to walk people through the process a few times to sort of crystallize what I do, because when I talk about it and when I write about it, I feel like I'm still too abstract and high level. So that was what got me. So I was thinking about that this morning, and Derek, I was thinking about your this course because I've used it several times as an example. It would be pretty cool if we could actually like take it, tear it apart, turn it around, and actually make it work for you, because it's really popular, from what I understand.
Yeah, I've put I think like 3,000 developers through that email course, and I've sold hundreds of copies of the ebook version of it as well. So I mean, it's been tremendously popular. I put it together in a few hours, and I've had countless amounts of success with it for a few hours of work.
So what I've been thinking, my absolute favorite format that Perry uses for his products is the watch over my shoulder format, where he goes and like he does these live webinars where he gets a bunch of people on the call, and then they give him like, it's like a hot seat, and somebody comes on, he doesn't know anything about their business, he doesn't know anything about what they're trying to do with their emails, and then he writes an email live. Like interviews them, gets everything. Cool. And writes an email live on the spot, and yeah, so it kind of shows the whole process start to finish, and it's super valuable. And I find that for me, whenever I feel like anytime I try to teach about this stuff in the abstract, where I'm not helping some specific person, I don't feel like I'm able to really deliver the value that I want to.
Right.
And when I do coaching calls and consulting calls with people, the ideas that come out and the way that I'm able to express myself is just a million times better.
Yep.
So I was kind of thinking that an easy way for me to get a simple product that I could sell here would be to do this with your course. So the idea would be we would you'd put them all in a Word doc probably, or a Google Doc, send it over to me. I'm going to read through it and formulate some thoughts, and then we hop onto Skype or whatever and walk through the whole thing, talk about how to fix it, and then you go off and fix it. And then like basically all of our interactions we would record, and then I could just take that, when you're done, you run some people through it, you see what kind of results we get. And and then I have like a package. I can just package all that up, and it wouldn't be like what I want to get to eventually is a system that I can teach. But the trouble is with the system is that there's a lot of art that goes into it too.
Yeah.
And this shows that, and it makes it very concrete.
Right.
So I am game if you are.
Absolutely.
You came to mind because of what we do here. I mean, like a lot of people would be nervous about this type of thing.
Yeah.
But this is pretty much what we do. So.
Yeah, exactly. And there's for all of the success that I've had with this, 3,500, maybe 4,000 people have read the ebook or gone through the email course. I've had maybe a dozen sales of a product that I would try to pitch at the end of it. And so I need this to turn around and become not just a way to get people onto my mailing list and educate people, but a way to move them from interested in this subject to having a solution, but also having a desire to continue to learn more and to take the next step and throw a little bit of money at me with some tripwire, and then throw more money at me with a big purchase, and then continue to just dive deep into the world that I've created for educational material.
Right. Yeah, and I really like your product and what you're doing for this, because it's so far removed from the typical make money online. Yes. Although you are a certified spammer now. So
I am a certified spammer. I got my notice from Drip today that I sent out 102,713 emails in the last month, which squarely puts me at internet spammer, sending more than 1.2 million emails per year. Wow. But I got that notice because that bumped me up to the next highest plan. The next the way they phrase it, the next cheapest plan.
Yeah.
But I'm spending more money with Drip every month now, which is fine because that's my lifeblood.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
it was
So, and
kind
I
of crazy
also,
getting that email. Like, wow, I send a lot of emails.
yeah, I don't like getting that email because that means I'm going to be paying like an extra $150.
Yeah, I think it bumped me up by $50 a month.
But yeah, so for you, and I thought also this would be good for you just because it would be something to think about other than
Yes,
I'm not
other than
making
how
any
Watch Me Code
sales.
is currently burning.
Right, right. It gives you it's like a step in the direction to
Yeah.
fixing that, and then something positive to focus on. So,
But I've had some good feedback on Watch Me Code from one person so far. Not just, hey, I like the new price, because nobody's going to like the new price, but I've had one person who is an existing Watch Me Code subscriber. She contacted me via Slack, which is great because yay for building community like I wanted to do. And she was like, I really want to get my entire team signed up on Watch Me Code.
Oh,
The
cool.
resource that you've created is phenomenal. I know your prices have been raised recently, and could you do a bulk discount since I'm trying to sign up my entire team? Like, oh yeah, sure, of course. You can totally do a discount for a team. We'll set up a corporate license deal. You'll have one account for everybody to use. You get to manage the password whenever anybody leaves or whatever. And we'll go from there with an estimate based on how many people you think are going to be in the company within the next year. And she was all enthusiastic and excited at the current pricing level. She was like, "Oh, it's totally worth it because you've got this great support channel with Slack and everything else that you have going on."
So one thing about that you need to get that as a testimonial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seriously, like I have gotten super with Simple Programmer now. I've gotten super disciplined about this. I have a Trello board. Whenever I get a good, whenever I see somebody say something nice about the blogging, because we've got like at least 4 or 5 different things that I'm trying to promote. So we've got the blogging course, we've got soft skills, 10 steps, and how to market yourself.
Right.
And I think that's everything. And so anytime I see a comment about that, like I'll reach out to the person and say, hey, could you tell me a little more, like and can I use this? And so we're putting a process into place now where we're going to systematically, you got to harvest them, because oh my goodness, like if you can put 20 of those things on your sales page, or even like use some of them as a basis for some of your emails,
right?
That's just solid gold.
Totally.
So I'm still doing that with with copywriting stuff. Like I've still got like I'm working on getting testimonials from my clients before I started working with John. So I'm still in the process of collecting those. And anytime somebody says something nice about my emails, I screen cap it, put it in a folder, and I've got all that, because you're gonna want it at some point, and then you need to have it. Otherwise, you're just gonna be like, oh, I guess I could look through my email.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Gmail is a black hole.
Black hole. I know, man. It's impossible to find things in there. I know I got this email literally 2 days ago. I just read it. Where is it? So yeah, I gotta say I am ridiculously excited about tearing apart my JavaScript this email course and putting it back together with you. There's going to be all kinds of good coming out of that, and it'll just further push me down the right path further of what I am trying to create with the Watch Me Code community and everything else. And so I want to do that, and I'm already taking steps to put together the first live Watch Me Code webinar, which is going to be an introduction to functional programming in JavaScript for all of us non-functional programmers. Talking with a guy who's been years now. He used Marionette for several years. He's big into functional programming now. I've had several conversations with him in Slack already, and we're gonna put together some samples and demo code and basic questions to run through, and we're gonna do that live on a webinar, record it, put it up on the site for anybody and everybody to watch, and use that as a catalyst to to start doing more webinars. But each of the webinars is then going to pitch, join the Watch Me Code community and get this kind of conversation and this kind of support all the time.
That's pretty awesome.
So it creates content, it adds a crap ton of value, it really helps to solidify the super fans even further, because I'm taking somebody from the Watch Me Code community and creating content with them, which is just going to be, it's going to skyrocket things from all kinds of perspectives.
Yep, that's awesome. Yeah, so I guess you're not going to be doing a lot of global variable stuff then, probably.
No.
Functional. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I was always really intrigued by the whole functional thing. I learned a little bit of Haskell, and it was pretty cool.
I did a little bit of Haskell, tried to wrap my head around it. I did a little bit of functional stuff, even in C#. And I've tried in JavaScript, and I can get some of the really simple pieces of it. And the few things that I have got my head wrapped around have helped my code immensely. But I know that I've got these mental hang-ups that I just can't quite get past, and I want to focus on those kinds of mental hang-ups for functional programming in this first webinar.
I actually, that really changed the way I thought, and I ended up trying to make my code like mostly functional, and then have some sort of a central place where all the state was managed, so it wasn't. So like all my helper methods and everything, I really tried to make them. That was like the biggest problem. One of the biggest problems with Trackabout. Oh my gosh! Like everything was like manipulating some global state that you could just never be sure what you were doing.
Yeah.
But, it's good stuff, though. It's going to be fun. I think there's a lot of opportunity here. We're planning on doing that webinar early June. I need to start putting together the marketing campaign for that. I want to get invites sent out to all of Watch Me Code, of course, but also to the rest of my mailing list, and try to borrow some audience from other people as well, including Chuck and his JavaScript audience, and other people that do functional JavaScript stuff as well.
Yep. Yeah, I really think that just having a good webinar, a good post-webinar follow-up, like you can grow this thing like crazy.
Yeah.
That's gonna be it'll be like just pumping money into it every time you do a webinar.
Yeah.
Cool.
Definitely.
Well, yeah. All right. So I guess the first step then would be for you to just get all those emails into a Google Doc.
Okay.
And get that over to me, and then we'll schedule.
Easy enough.
Schedule a time to work on it.
Yeah, and I don't know what I was gonna say there, but yeah, I can get that done pretty quickly. I've got it all in multiple formats already, so it should mostly just be copy and paste.
Sweet.
We still got to get you to do a guest post for Simple Programmer too. That would.
Yeah, we've talked about that a million times, and I've never done it. Yeah. We got to figure out.
Yeah, something technical that would help people, like with JavaScript, that you can find the piece of our audience that will be interested in your stuff.
Right.
So.
Derek can write the JavaScript is Dead Part 2 blog post.
Yeah, really.
That'd be interesting. Yeah, that actually would be interesting. Like, but you'd be on the other side of it, or something around that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, I'll have to go reread your JavaScript is Dead post. I know I read it years ago when you published it, but if I could reread that and find a way to continue that angle and move it forward again, because there's so much has changed in JavaScript in the last couple of years, and the tooling, the feature sets, the libraries and frameworks, the way it runs, where it can run. I mean, so much has changed. There's huge opportunity to really play up that angle again. JavaScript is dead. Long live JavaScript again.
Yeah, because it's different now. It did die in a sense.
Yeah, very much so. The toy language.
Yeah. Did we talk about the Sublime? Did you or did you
we just talked about it last week. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, So we're gonna go ahead and pull the trigger on that.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's going to
probably.
be exciting. That's
Yeah, in a not exciting kind of way.
But it's the work is going to be kind of dreary, and there's the stress of what if people hate me, but once you get it done and you have that off
I'm
your
gonna
plate,
feel really good.
Yeah, I mean
If I could fast forward and have it be done, I know I would
exactly.
be really...
It's like when I shut down Signal Leaf. The build up to making that decision was so terrible. But once I shut it down, once I made the decision and actually pulled the plug, it was such a relief.
Yeah. Yep, we're gonna do it. So
Nice.
the other thing I've been doing, I'm working on right now. What the project I'm working on is Dan Martell is going to be. He has this course about how to do a venture capital funded startup.
Yeah.
And sort of the anti 30 by 500.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to promote that. We're going to promote that to our list as an affiliate offer. And so I'm working on an email course that will actually promote that. And it's going to. I'm hoping to be able to take the same email course later and just repurpose the emails and use them to promote the product that John and I are going to do later in the year. But what I'm doing is I'm actually just minute by minute, like video blogging, just recording my thoughts as I'm going through the process.
Oh, cool.
So I don't know if I'll end up using the videos, but at least it'll be a record of what I was thinking and why I did certain things, and so it's kind of funny because yesterday I was recording and I was like, I really don't know. So John's story, so the stories we're going to use for the course are about two of John's early entrepreneurial failures, and they don't connect directly to the idea of doing your own software startup. And so I was trying to think, like, I was having a little bit of a hard time in my head connecting the dots and figuring out how I was gonna build towards pitching Dan's course at the end. And then this morning, so yesterday I spent all day reading the transcripts and everything of the interviews that I did, and reading through the videos that Dan produced. And then this morning it just started clicking and just started popping. So I jumped in and grabbed my phone and recorded a video about some of the ideas that I was having, and how I was starting to see, because you basically immerse yourself in the product that you're promoting and the background research that you do, and then at some point it just starts to connect for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I tried to capture some of that on my little videos. So we'll see. I'm not sure if I'm going to use them for anything, but it's fun. That's actually the experience of recording those is what led me to want to do this with you, Derek, because
Nice.
I'm feeling like I'm not able to articulate yet what I really want to articulate, and I think working through it a few times with someone else live, in some kind of live format would be a lot more useful at this point. So
definitely. And that's the same thing I do with Stack Overflow. Quite honestly, I'll get on Stack Overflow and answer questions simply to drive an implicit understanding into explicit knowledge, and then those answers very often become blog posts for me, or episodes of screencasts or whatever else. Making that implicit knowledge explicit for something very concrete. Is tremendously difficult to do without having something very concrete.
Yes. Yeah, not just making it explicit, but also making it in a form, figuring out how to reduce it to something that someone else can actually use. Find useful.
Exactly.
Not just explain what's going on in my head, but find a way to, have other people be able to pick that up and find it useful. Yeah, I don't have any problems being really concrete and giving really useful advice when I get questions from my subscribers. The problem is right now this email course thing is pretty new, so a lot of the questions that I get now are all tend to be more general, and a lot of people, most of my subscribers are coming off of the King Sumo giveaways thing still. So I think this is going to having this specific thing that I'm talking about is going to make my problem of getting subscribers go away completely.
Yeah.
Because especially once I have a product, basically I've been trying to. It's ironic. I've been trying to do all of this for free because I don't really want to put any time into making a product right now. I'd be pretty happy if I could just grow my website traffic and my mailing list right now, but I can't. I'm finding that like since I don't have a product, a lot of doors are closed to me.
Mm-hmm.
So once I have a product, even if it's something simple like this, then I can do, Bob Bly will email 50,000 people and promote it.
Yep.
And so it gets a lot easier to build your audience actually when you have something that you're selling, which is kind of ironic. It's like you can't give it away.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Nice.
The other thing, so this week I posted an Upwork job. So I want to find so my VA has basically done the same thing to me that Chuck's VA did. He was pretty consistent with getting my emails published, and I was like, look, this is really, it only takes about half an hour a week, and it's really the only thing that I care about right now. That's at all time critical. I want to give you the emails on Friday morning, and I want you to have them published by Monday morning at 8 a.m.
Yeah.
That is the only thing I really care about as far as time. And like, we have a Trello board, and for a couple weeks he was doing great, and then 1 week he just didn't do it. Like he dragged it from to do to doing, and then he just didn't do it. And I log in at like 9 o'clock on Monday morning, and I'm like, crap, there's like nothing here. Where, like, what's going on? And so I went ahead and did it, and then the next week I just went ahead and did it again. And then last week I was like, I'm gonna give him one more shot here. So I just went ahead and put a card on Trello, made sure I mentioned him, and he knew that the assignment was there. And he dragged it to doing, and then he didn't do it. Like, what are you?
Wow.
What is going on? Like, I don't even understand. And I pinged him, and so then, my wife's grandmother passed away over the last weekend. So I'm like headed out of town for a funeral, and I'm like logging in, and this guy hasn't done anything again. And I pinged him on Skype, like, hey, I noticed that you didn't do this. Like, what's going on? Never replied to me.
Yeah.
So I guess he's done. So but I posted a job on Upwork to I was like, okay, what do I really want here? I want somebody who is a decent writer, who I can teach to do the other stuff I need done. That's really what I care about. Is really the person, not the skills. As long as they have decent writing skills and communication skills. So I decided I have my about page, and I have all these links to interviews and blog posts I've written on other sites, and I don't have any descriptive text for any of them. So I was like, I'm just going to hire somebody to write blurbs for my about page.
Yeah.
So I threw up a job on Upwork for $45, and I only got like 3 applicants for it, and 2 of them were awful, and one of them looks pretty promising. I hired him. I decided to hire him. I was going to hire like 5 people, but I didn't get 5 people to hire.
Right.
So I hired this guy. I think he's in Malaysia, but his English, like, he actually was funny in his like, he's actually got a sense of humor. His response to my job posting was, I forget what he said, but it was actually pretty funny. And he writes like these short, crisp sentences where I could actually see this guy learning to write like me enough to where he could, impersonate me a little bit. So I'm like, okay, this is looking good. So I hired him. He asked me a few good questions, and then got right to work. Sent me 3, did the first 3, sent them to me, said, do these look good? And I was like, yeah. So he went ahead and did all of them. I told him to have them they were due on Tuesday of next week, and he's already got them back to me. So,
nice.
Yeah, so he's looking pretty promising. I think next what I'm going to do is hire him to probably, I want to have a blog post. One of the keywords I'd love to rank for is email marketing tools or email marketing tips. Those are 2 of the top keywords. So I think I'm going to have him do the ultimate list of email marketing tools and just have like 300 links with little descriptive blurbs about each tool and what you use it for. And then I think that if we keep adding to that over time, that will become a huge traffic driver. So I think I'm going to have him start on that. I might hire him for like, another $50 and have him do like 50 or 100 of those. And then I think if he delivers on that, I'll probably switch him over to hourly, and at least train him on scheduling my blog posts, scheduling my emails. And then there's a lot of stuff there's like a lot of nice stuff that I would like to do, like cross-linking in my posts and stuff, which I literally right now I just copy and paste my email and delete the drip, first name field, and but yeah, like have him do some of that, the nice to have stuff. But yeah, so far so good. And he also has some skills in infographics. And in his profile, not to me, but in his profile, he expressed interest in learning more about like content marketing and SEO and marketing in general. So I think he'd actually get a lot out of working with me.
Nice.
So we'll have to see how it goes. I'm definitely gonna be adopting the hire fast or hire slow, fire fast approach here. But I'm hoping, I'm gonna basically churn through as many people as I have to find my Rodrigo, because that guy is awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems like this guy, he's got some graphic skills, he's got the writing skills, and he's so far has been super eager. It was funny, like his when he saw, because I didn't put in the post, like I didn't link to my website in the post, the job post, and so I sent him the link to my about page, which has like all these top internet marketers. Like I put all my testimonials on the about page and everything, and he's like, well, aside from the irony of being hired by someone who's 100 times more qualified to do this than I am, so that's like, yeah, he's kind of a funny guy. So I don't know. Yeah. I'm liking him so far. His rate's $10 an hour, so that's not bad.
Nice.
Where's he based out of?
I think he's based out of Malaysia.
Okay.
So, but he seems like so far he might be one of those people that shift his schedule to be more friendly to the U.S. There are people that do that.
Yeah.
So, because I've been getting messages from him at like he sent me his submission today at like 10 a.m. or something. So.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's responsive during the day, at least sometimes.
That's good. Yeah, it's hard. There's an interesting thing too. Like there's cultural pieces too. Like unfortunately, it seems to be a Filipino thing to fall off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
It happens. Like usually you get like good work. There's like just different. As I'm hiring from different countries, I'm noticing like there's like a certain kind of a work ethic, a certain kind of a thing that you get from. If you hire from India, a lot of times you don't get any judgment calls made. They just do exactly what you say, and there's no. It's great if you have specifics that you exactly want done, and so it's weird. And Brazil, I'm liking.
Yeah, I think I've noticed similar things as well, and I've heard the same thing from other entrepreneurs who do a lot of outsourcing. It's like you kind of have to. There's certain parts of the world that you go to for certain things, and
it's built into the. You get into the Eastern Europe, and you're like, this guy, what's his angle? What's he trying to really do here? Like, but yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, so I am optimistic, but I'm not going to jump up and down just yet. So we'll see. But so far, my interactions with him, he actually reminds me a lot of Rodrigo. So that is
good.
That is promising. He seems like he has that similar attitude. So might be setting up a Slack channel of my own soon.
Nice. Cool. Man, our sales dropped off this week.
Our sales went in the toilet. I don't know. There's definitely some kind of weird cycle that we haven't quite figured out. It definitely seems. I've noticed it seems to happen at the beginning of the month. Like it happened. It happened in February when John and I were at Traffic and Conversion. We were both like starting to wonder if we were ever going to sell anything ever again.
Yeah.
And we're kind of like at that point now. Like so, last week with the new sales page for how to market yourself, we sold. It was crazy. The conversion rate went from, so overall the conversion rate was 0.9%. Then that's like everything. That's like blog traffic. That's email traffic. So the conversion rate coming off of the emails was probably closer to 1 or 1.5%, and everything else was like basically non-existent. And now, so after that, it jumped up to 2.7%.
Yeah.
Just with the new sales page, and we were getting like the sale emails hit on Sunday and Thursday, and we were getting like the one day we got like 5 sales, and the next big day we got like 5 or 6 sales. Like it was going pretty crazy, and then yesterday we didn't get anything.
Yeah.
So
that's a like one came in today so far, but.
Oh really? I didn't see that yet. I saw a was it a 10-step sale, or no? Actually,
10 steps just came
in
like 13 hours ago, I guess. So.
Okay, yeah. So I don't know. I think it's the beginning of the month. There's something weird, and I don't know. But it always bounces back. So we had this last month, and we had it the month before, and so I'm not too worried. But wish I could put my finger on what was going on.
Yeah. That'd be nice if we could. I wonder if there's. Well, I'm sure there is, but there's probably some work that we could do to look at trends over time for the last several years of sales, and not look at raw numbers, but look at adjusted percentages and however we adjust things to see the trends of when sales go up and down throughout the year, and see if we can find the correlations to the time of year, the time of month, the time of whatever, to kind of predict and know when we're going to hit these lulls.
I'd really like to be able to just take all that data and like drop it into some hopper and have it like slice that up 10 different ways, and like just almost like just randomly, well, let's look at days of the week, let's look at the month, let's look at quarters, and just like look at it 10, 20 different ways and look for patterns.
Of course,
because I'm sure
if you can't act on it, then it's not as like,
right.
But there might be things that we could do. I mean, like for example, with how to market yourself. Well, the emails are hitting, the sale emails right now are hitting typically on Thursday. Like the sales end on Thursday and Sunday. So maybe if we shifted that to be like Monday and Friday or something, it would be better. Like it might. Or maybe if we just decoupled it from, I've actually thought about just decoupling it from the days and just having those emails just go out whenever, and space them out by day instead of by day of the week. So it's like more of a rolling, it's more consistent rolling traffic. That might help, but I don't know. Like the 10 steps is based off of whatever day you joined. So there's somebody every day getting the sale email.
Exactly, yeah.
So it's more even, but I don't know. But yeah, I think you're right, John. It's like might not be super actionable, but it would be. It is valuable to know, at least have a better sense of what's going on, versus just like sitting there and wondering.
Yeah.
Like I mean, like if if you're a Christmas tree farm, and you know that certain times of the year are going to be busier than others, that's still, there's some value there.
Yeah, definitely. It depends on where. Also, the other thing I was thinking about is like what interval you look at the metric. That depends too. Like maybe we should be looking at the weekly numbers and not even looking at the daily and seeing what.
Yeah.
Because if you don't see any real fluctuation in the weekly numbers, then it doesn't really matter. Like.
Well, I mean, we'll see a pretty big fluctuation this week, I'm sure, because we were.
We should, yeah.
Yeah, we'd hit like by like the 4th of the month, we hit like almost $2,000, and then nothing.
Yeah.
Week. So,
We'll see. We'll see what happens. It's always a roller coaster ride of. But you've definitely been able to steadily raise the
Yep.
low tide on the.
Yeah. Oh, the other thing. So Derek, we did the same thing with the content upgrades have been working great.
Yeah.
So we did. So I did one. So I'm looking at the top 10 blog posts and trying to come up with content upgrades for all of them and putting those in a pop-up, and then also embedding the call to action, like the download button, directly in the post.
Oh, nice.
And the best one that I have so far is converting at around 7% between,
wow.
or 7, might be 7 or 7.5%
Yeah.
between the pop-up and the embedded call to action.
Nice.
So yeah,
my RabbitMQ one converts at about 4.25, which
that's
is pretty good itself, but 7.
Yeah. It's funny. I had one that was not working at all. It was the ultimate list of developer podcasts.
Yeah.
So we have that really popular post, and I thought, okay, well, let me just try this. So I had Rodrigo make the post into a PDF, so you could download the PDF, and it was just the exact same content in the post, and that was converting at like slightly better than. So the normal pop-up converts at about 0.3% on that page, and this was converting at like 0.6 or something. It was pretty awful. So then I went and hired somebody on Fiverr, and I was like, okay, let's take. Oh yeah, I mentioned the OPML thing. Yeah. So I ended up doing. Apple removed OPML support from iTunes 12, so
yeah,
you guys were totally right. It's dead.
Yeah, it's been dead for a long time.
Yeah. Well. Yeah, there's still like a lot of the Android podcasting apps support it and stuff, but once pretty much Apple like drives everything. So once they killed it, I was like, yeah, this isn't going to be useful. So I just had somebody go through the blog post, pull out the links to the show, and then go and find the RSS subscribe links, so that people could just copy and paste out of the spreadsheet into their into iTunes, and then I had them categorize the podcast so they could filter. You could filter and then just grab the ones you want and subscribe to them all.
Right.
Yeah.
That's converting at like 6 or 7%.
Nice.
So yeah, it's genuinely useful. People seem to be really excited about it. So
yeah,
that is working. And so it's weird though, because I've been trying to raise the overall like site conversion rate, and I don't know what's going on, because I'm getting more people, a lot more people to convert on these very specific offers that weren't converting before, but our overall site subscriber percentage in Thrive is not increasing. It's really weird. Like if you look at Drip, we're getting more signups than we have been, but our percentage is like looks about the same in Thrive, and if you do the math, like all the math seems right, so I don't understand, because I was up to like, Thrive was reporting for a while that I was up around 2.5% of overall traffic was converting, and it's fallen off to like, now it's like 1.5% to 2%, and I can't seem to push it above that. And I'm kind of confused about why, but yeah, it seems to be we're making progress in Drip. So my goal is to get the site consistently producing 100 new signups a day right now. Yeah. So we were at like around 50 to 60 on average, and this week we've been averaging between 60 and 75 and 80. So
nice.
It's a nice little jump.
Yeah.
I'm going to get through. I've gone through 3 or 4 of those top posts. I'm going to get through the other 10. And
yeah, I need to do something along those lines as well. Just have so many other things that I have to do first.
Yeah. I'm like things. I'd really like to get rid of the pop-up on the rest of the site, because it only converts at like 0.3%.
Wow.
Which is abysmal. It converts it like close to 4% on the home page. And so that's where actually most of we were seeing that the pop-up was converting at around 1.5%. Well, it was converting at 0.3% everywhere, and then 5 or 6% on the home page. So I'd like to just get rid of it on the other pages, but I need to figure out how many subscribers we would lose, and if we can figure out a way to make them up, because it would be really nice to reduce that annoyance factor.
Yeah.
But I've been testing. Like, we had this discussion on Twitter. Brian Harris tweeted because I've seen a couple blog posts recently where people just like, we're taking down all of our opt-in forms and like making all of our content free and ungated, and we're just gonna hope that people spread our content and somehow we make money that way.
Look at that.
Yeah, exactly. And so Brian Harris tweeted about this, and I got pulled into a discussion with him and a couple other people. And basically, like, I keep trying to test ways to make it less annoying. Like, I went to an exit pop-up, which is everybody's kind of like, that's like the love child right now everybody loves exit pop-ups, but they suck. They don't work. Like, I can take the pop-up that converts at 4 or 5%, and I can make it an exit pop-up, and it'll convert at 0.8%.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
that's just
the person has already made a conscious decision to leave your site.
Yes.
Now you want them to take more time to do that. That's not going to happen.
Work. And I'm finding that I'm testing. Do I delay for 5 seconds, or do I hit them right? Like, as soon as they open that post, do I slam them in the face with that stupid pop-up, or do I delay and give them a chance to read? And so I tested 5-second delay, and I tested a 30% scroll delay. And hitting them in the face with it right away wins by a landslide. Like, it's not even close. It's like 30 to 50% better at a minimum than the other options. And I hate it, but that's
I don't even do a 5 second. As soon as the page loads, you see it.
That's what is working best for me too. So, and like, I guess it's very possible. It's possible that you're getting more lower quality people and scaring away, that the people that you get from the delay or a softer ask would be higher quality. But good grief, like, that's pretty tough to measure, and I don't have the capability to measure that right now, so I have to go with this. Like, what you need to do would be to like track them all the way through and measure the customer lifetime value of those two different cohorts. And I'm pretty sure that the 5 to 6% of people who are putting their email address in, I probably will get those high quality people too. I might scare a few of them off, but I doubt it. People who hate pop-ups are probably not any more likely to put their name in one if you wait 30 seconds to show it to them.
Yeah, it's really hard to measure. I mean, you just have to do what's working. Like,
and we know. I mean, like, putting people through the email courses that we have, we know what the conversion rate is, and these people are definitely buyers. So, and then, like I said on Twitter, like, this guy was complaining about it, and I was like, well, we put these. I hit people in the face with this annoying pop-up, and then John and I get emails from people thanking them for changing their lives. So, like, what is it really all that bad? Like, is it really a dark, the dark side of marketing to put that pop-up up there if it's literally changing people's lives? I think I can live with myself. I can sleep at night.
It's funny, they'll always be arguing, but there's just nothing better. There's not another way to get.
That's the thing.
One of the comments
until somebody does find something better. I mean.
This one guy was like, I like to think that if somebody could get 100 email signups by sticking a pop-up up there, a really creative marketer could find a way to get 1,000 without the pop-up. I'm like, okay, well, like, basically the entire.
We'll pay you on commission.
Yes.
Yeah, the entire industry has been looking for that for 10 years, and we haven't found one. So,
Yeah.
must be no creative marketers out there.
Absolutely. That's what it is.
Yeah. All those guys need to be paid on commission. That will solve that problem real quick.
Yeah, I will gladly shell out thousands of dollars for somebody to give me that solution. If I could get 10% of my traffic to willingly join my mailing list and become customers without using pop-ups or other forms of enter your email address, I would so very gladly pay for that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just was curious about something.
All right, so we're at 2 hours and 20 minutes
Yeah,
already.
we
We
should
should
wrap
My
up.
lights are
probably
on.
wrap
See,
this up. They
We're
are.
officially, like,
Yes, we're officially
way
late.
over.
That's the wrap it up sign.
Yep.
Wrap it up. Come on.
At least my headset's not dying this week because
Yes.
my old Logitech barely makes it through the 2 hours now.
All right. Any thoughts for the week?
What is mine?
I guess I'll say that every time, like, when you're stuck on something, there's a pretty good chance that the reason you're stuck is because you're missing something that you need.
Mm-hmm.
Like every time for me, especially with writing, every time I really hit a roadblock, I mean, assuming you're not just out and out procrastinating, goofing off, every time I hit a roadblock in my writing and I don't know where to go, it's because I don't have the information that I need, and if I just go back to that well a little bit longer, something pops up. And that was kind of I was kind of reminded of that yesterday with, I've been reminded of that with this email course stuff that I'm trying to articulate a process that I think isn't fully baked yet, and I think doing some more baking will help me a lot.
I'd say that mine is I'm going to go back to the growth thing. Like, stop worrying about the results. We've talked about that before, but like just focus on growth, because growth, if your outcome, if your result is for personal growth, you can't fail and you can't lose. Like when you look through that lens, every experience, everything that you do becomes a benefit, as opposed to relying on the outcome or even thinking about failure. There is no failure at all if your outcome is growth, and if you have that mindset, you can't help but to grow. And so, like, all of these things that you're doing, when you look at it through that lens, then it changes, because then it's the thing that no one can take that growth away from you. Like, you can't lose it. It's a constant. I think a lot of times we get discouraged when we feel like we're losing ground, or we're like making negative progress, or we're not making any progress. But if you're focused constantly on growth, then you're always making progress. Like, you're never stagnant. So
the other thing that does is it kind of gets you out of the scarcity mindset in another way, because like, I know for me, when I was with Sublime, for example, when I was really fixated on, like, oh, I got to get my monthly income up. Well, now I hear Wes Boss is releasing a book.
Yeah.
And so suddenly, like, the jealousy thing, right? I've been working so hard on this, and now he's going to take away a piece of it. And if you're focused on, like, growth and growing your network, and and helping people, like, that totally shifts the way that you're going to approach something like that.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's the kind of approach I'm taking with Watch Me Code right now. It's people keep telling me, well, Pluralsight and Egghead, they charge this much, and I'm like, yeah, good for them. This is what I'm charging, because I'm not doing the same thing as them. I'm not competing with them. I'm building something different, building something more, hopefully, and it's not going to be Pluralsight, and it's not going to be Egghead.
Yeah.
I'm growing a community in a different way. So I guess I got two things. I will on behalf of Chuck say take care of yourself so that you can take care of the things around you and the things that need to be taken care of. But also for myself, I'll go back to our hour-long discussion and say, find the thing that you are fighting for, and you will immediately and instantly know what you need to fight against.
Yeah. Yeah. Very true. All right. So
All right.
same time next week. I think is everyone going to be here next week?
Yeah,
I
should
think
be.
so.
I'm not flying out until I'll be probably the week after that. I'll be gone because I'm speaking at a conference in DC. So.
Okay.
And yep. Cool.
All righty.
All right.
All right. Have a good weekend.
Yep.
See you guys.
Bye.